Hey, Joe Bob Briggs here, and I'm pretty excited tonight. Here's something you've never seen on TV before, even cable. Slime Ball Month. Only on Drive-In Theater, a month-long tribute to the greatest slime balls in movie history. Actually, the greatest actors playing slime balls, because the greatest actual slime balls in movie history would be agents and producers, so let's not dwell on that. Anyhow, before I introduce our esteemed guest tonight, I want to explain my theory of this whole promotion thing here. If you go on a movie set anywhere, big budget movie, B movie, any movie, you're going to find two kinds of actors, movie stars and actors. Now, sometimes the movie star is also an actor. This has happened about 5 times in history. And so to make the movie star look like an actor, they hire the best actors in the business to surround the guy with. And that's why anytime you have bad guys, colorful character roles, sidekicks, those are usually the best roles and the best actors in the movie. And the reason they're the best actors in the movie is that they have to be, because even after they make 120 movies, they still have to go out and audition for the next movie, or at least talk to somebody about it. And they're generally working from scripts that don't have much written down on the page, and so they have to be incredibly inventive. So when I say we're honoring slime balls, we're actually just honoring the greatest acting in films, guys who earn their money every week. And to start it off, we've got a guy who, he's been one of my favorites for a long time. Ever since, I guess Dog Day Afternoon was his breakout film, I think. I'll find out in a minute. And then since then, he's been in everything. In A films, he's usually a supporting guy. In B films, he's a lead or bad guy. Or in the movies we're showing tonight, a slime ball, an absolute slime ball. You might remember him from Stone Cold, the motorcycle gang leader. If you saw Hard Target last year, he's the guy who organizes the manhunts, the piano-playing psycho. He starred in Near Dark, Pumpkinhead. He's done it all. It's a great pleasure to welcome Lance Henriksen. Whoa. Thanks, Lance, for being here.
Very cool.
Let me ask you, Lance, do they still make you audition to get a part?
I kind of balked when you said that. Yeah, no, I don't audition. No, I won't audition.
You don't ever audition?
I'll meet with them and I'll talk to them just like we're talking, but I won't. No, I don't do
You won't pick up a script and read it for them?
No. The best story I ever heard on that was Wilford Brimley saying that to a producer, "You mean you haven't read it yet, that you need me to read it to you?" That kind of thing. So
yeah, okay.
So that's cool.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're standing up for yourself.
Absolutely.
So, well, we're going to talk about your whole career between movies tonight, but I have heard stories about you that you are a very intense actor, like one of the most intense actors on the set anywhere, and that when you do a preparation for a role, you can actually scare the crap out of people.
Only
is that true?
If they're late on the per diem, I really get mad.
Yeah?
No, I can. Yeah, I can scare people pretty good. I remember when we did Near Dark, a cop pulled me over on the way back from the set, and I had my long acrylic fingernails on, and my hair was, and he was writing the ticket, and he looked up at me, and I was staring at him like he was a meal, you know, and the guy jumped back, and he almost pulled his gun, and I thought that was going a little too close to the edge, you know, for me.
Yeah, well, but you could do that with just a stare.
Just a look.
Yeah.
If he knew what I was thinking, he would have shot me.
Well, see, I can understand that, because you can be meaner on screen than anybody I've ever seen. And I've always said, well, first of all, does that ever affect your career or how people look at you? Do people move away from you in restaurants, or get scared when a meeting's coming up? Or
it has a couple of beneficial ones. One is that if they don't ask me for my autograph very often because they're kind of afraid to bump, you know, to like stir the water.
Yeah.
The other one is that I'm nothing like that. I have had guys come up to me and say, "I got a great role for you. You were made for this role. It's the worst slime ball that ever lived, you know, and this role is just," and I go, "What?" You know, it's like shocks me.
Yeah.
But like, you have slime ball night. I've heard that before, but it's said right to me. And you imagine how humiliated I get. I'm very sensitive, actually.
Yeah, but does it have an effect, like, in your personal life?
Well, when I have a girlfriend, I hang on to them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know,
because you're not likely to get another one.
Get another one.
Okay. Now, I also get the impression that you don't really care what the job is. I mean, you care what the job is, but as far as being, you'll do movies, stage, low-budget movies, A movies, B movies, anything. At a time when a lot of people with your credentials, since you've done so much work now, might be tempted to say, "I'm not going to do any more low-budget movies," but you will. If the role is there, you'll still do the cheaper movie, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because otherwise I'm going to only run into the same 10 directors that are working in Hollywood. I mean, you know what I mean? And it gets old, too. You know, I know what kind of movie they're going to make. I know what it's going to be like there. And if I head out into the rainforest, I'm going to run into somebody interesting and maybe do something interesting.
Well, I'm glad you do that, because we kind of celebrate the low-budget movie here. Now, on a lot of these low-budget pictures, I know that there's not much to work with in the script, I would assume. I mean, it's kind of thin. They tend to be shallowly written. And you always, you kind of always find some weird inner twist or some kind of strange life that you can bring when you play a bad guy. Or tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe the scripts are better than I think they are, but how do you do that?
They're much worse than you. You're being very nice about them.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually come in and they're like the worst cliches, all, you know, tied in a neat knot, and everything about it, and the characters are the worst, and then you walk in and you ask the first question, and after you ask him the first question, the whole thing just unwinds like a cheap suit, you know, or a cheap sweater. So you have a big opportunity to like inject your hopes and fears and, you know, longings into it and make it interesting.
And I'm guessing, but I would say a lot of these young, low-budget directors making their first film would say, anything you want to do, Lance, anything you want to do, go ahead.
Yeah, they do a little of that, yeah. You can intimidate them pretty good. Not with negative stuff like I won't come out of my trailer or anything, but you get them alone and you say to them, now what if? You know, like you sort of move in on
the look.
Yeah, you give them, it's called the, you know, the hairy eyeball is what it is.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple of fine examples of your work tonight. No, I'm saying that with all respect. Excessive Force and The Pit and the Pendulum. Do you like these pictures?
I love The Pit and the Pendulum. Excessive Force, like, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but I was very shocked that I was going to play the chief of police of Chicago, because I always imagined that as a guy with a belly over his buckle and, you know, and jowls, you know what I mean? I didn't realize I got that old.
Well, I don't think it's old. I think it works. I think
a
it
lean
works.
machine in Chicago.
It's
unheard of, man.
Let me put it this way: the most corrupt police chief in the history of Chicago. I think that's what they wanted you for.
Yeah.
But I like these pictures anyway. I don't want to say much about Excessive Force, the first picture we have, because it has kind of a deceptive plot, and I don't want to give it away, especially in regard to your character. But it's a Thomas Ian Griffith cop movie set in Chicago. You're an ambitious police chief. There's a lot of fighting in the picture, a lot of action. Do you do your own fighting?
Always, yeah.
Always?
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, it's a very nasty picture. And you prove, Lance, that when it comes to nasty, no one out-nasties Lance Henriksen. It also stars another one of our favorite slime balls, a guy I'd love to have on the show sometime, the great Burt Young. You know,
oh,
Burt?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you have any scenes with him in this.
No.
But, and what else?
I would have loved to have gone nose to nose with him. It would have been great.
So I'll ask you the questions about it after we finish, because I don't want to give it away. But it's a 4-star flick, rated R, very violent, the way we like them around here. Let's hope Senator Simon is not watching tonight. Roll this movie, and Lance and I will be back after the movie. Have you ever made a picture so bad that you won't admit to anybody that you made it?
Yeah, Savage Dawn.
They all know now.
They know now.
All right, Excessive Force. As soon as Lance goes off that roof, you know that movie is over. And surprise, here he is, Lance Henriksen in the flesh on the first night of Slimeball Month on the Movie Channel. And the first movie of the first night of Slimeball Month, and I'm sure everybody knows by now why we chose you, Lance, to kick off the month. You can make people very uncomfortable. Have you always been that way?
Just as I got older, you know, when I realized I couldn't get rides hitchhiking anymore, I realized
something is
wrong.
Something
I got the face
use.
I deserve, man. I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, that's a very good job. Now, we're going to watch another very different slimy role by you, an even more challenging one, I think. I would think, in just a minute. The Pit and the Pendulum. I should also mention that Slimeball Month continues next week when Robert Davi, another great actor, will be my guest. But first, I wanted to go over your career a little bit. For those who aren't familiar with it, you're the only actor I've ever seen who puts in his official biography the number of schools he's been kicked out of. So I assume you're saying you always had kind of a bad attitude, right?
Well, I'm stunned, you know. I mean, because look, it's not like it's like in the movie business. I didn't get invited in. You know what I mean? They don't invite you to school. You kind of come up begging. You got your hat in your hand, and I didn't get along with that kind of situation very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere because I want to be there, and I know why I'm there. In school, I never wanted to be there, so I kind of went numb, and I went into a trance, and I kind of floated out the window and then down the road, and I didn't go back.
Yeah, and you ended up, what, hitchhiking across America?
Around the world. I mean, I traveled everywhere. I was a painter because after getting out of school and being kind of illiterate, I was able to hide in the arts, and nobody would say, "Are you crazy?" Because you don't ask a painter if they're crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a good role to play. Yeah.
Was there any one breakthrough role for you? I think of Dog Day Afternoon, but
that was my first movie. But and I realized, because I'd done a lot of plays, I've been on Broadway and off Broadway, but when I did that role, I realized movies are it, because you could be intimate, it reads your thoughts. I wanted to kill when Pacino was searching me. It was the only time I realized I could actually kill somebody. I mean, because he had humiliated my boss, and I knew I had to kill Casals in the car, and I didn't know what was going to make it happen that I could actually think of killing somebody.
Yeah.
And that moment was the moment, and Lumet went, "Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it," you know. But when he was searching me, I wanted to grab his head. I keep having this image of crushing someone's head. I don't really mean that. I've never killed anybody, by the way, in my life. I mean,
I believe you, Lance. But you're the first person who's had to issue a disclaimer about it.
But you know, they think you have. You know, it's like I've heard people talk about me in a way like I'm a mass murderer. Yeah. And I haven't killed anything.
I know, but
I have fantasies.
But you've lived it out.
I've lived it out, and I don't have to pay the price. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Another 4-star flick, 10 dead bodies, 6 breasts, burning at the stake, strangling, flogging, stretching on the rack, people buried alive, people chained up, tongue ripping, exploding old lady. Lots of prayer, iron spike through the skull, kind of a light comedy, with Lance as the sensitive, tortured torturer, Torquemada, The Pit and the Pendulum, rated R. Roll it, and then we'll be back one more time. You know the scene I'm talking about, don't you? Where you use the scissors?
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. On broken glass, you wear a hair shirt, you beg to be flogged, you chain Oliver Reed up and bury him alive, you cut his screen time way down. He was in that movie about 3 seconds. You have that great scene where you try to have sex and you end up cutting the poor girl's tongue off instead. You turn into a terrified coward running from the living and the dead. You get a steel spike through your skull, and you're still praying for forgiveness with your dying breath. You know, is it the scene? What is the motivation for all this stuff? Is it that scene where you can't get it up? Is that kind of the crux of the movie?
He can't get it up because he's got so many thoughts going. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? She just needed to calm him down a little bit.
Oh, and he could have gone through with it?
It's the haircut. That was the problem. The haircut was completely screwing his mind up. I don't know. That was a weird scene to do. It really was, because I never had that problem in my life, you know, and to have to hang over that girl and try to do that scene.
Okay.
Well, I know what it was. The rest of
the
Italian crew, the Italian crew was standing there. I mean, they were like animals watching this girl and naked like that. It was horrible. Yeah. I mean, how can you do anything with a group like that hanging over you?
Right. Do you have a personal favorite movie?
I do. It's one I just did called Quick and the Dead with Gene Hackman and Sharon Stone.
Directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah. I play a cowboy in it, and I'm almost slipping into the dialogue now, the accent, but I play the greatest gunfighter that ever lived, ever will live.
Okay. That I want to see.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Lance, I appreciate your being here tonight, letting everybody see that you don't murder, rape, and pillage in real life. So, best of luck. Come back anytime. That's it for me, Joe Bob Briggs, reminding you that the drive-in will never die. And next week, Robert Davi will be here to help me introduce his 2 movies, Amazon and Wild Orchid 2. Do you know Robert?
Nope.
You don't know Robert? Another very scary guy. Looks like a drug dealer, kind of. But check it out, and thanks, man. In fact, I just heard you made a movie in Australia.
Yeah, I was in a rainforest, and the mud was so deep it sucked your shoes right off your feet.
Yeah? Okay.